Congratulations on the Player of the Month award. How has your football been going this year?
Thanks. Yeah, it's good. I suppose as a player, you love matches. So having had three matches in 3 weeks now, it's great, and I suppose it gives you a bit of momentum, and I'm really enjoying it. I think the shorter season can kind of suit maybe the older players like me a bit better. So really enjoying it so far.
You said before that 2019 you found mentally tough, so just wondering what has kind of changed in the meantime. You seem to be enjoying it again.
Yeah, I suppose coming into the 2019 campaign with Cork, I would have been on the back of like 5 years with Mourneabbey going up as far as either November, December to an All Ireland semi-final or final, and probably losing most of them. But it still meant you were playing nearly 12 months of the year. With very little break. So I suppose there was just maybe a bit of fatigue coming into 2019. But then I think, sometimes you say you don't know what you have until it's gone. And I think last year was a bit of that, where for a good few months of the year we had no football and no training and matches. And I think maybe that made me appreciate it a bit more when it did come back, and that I did really enjoy it and that it was a big part of my life. So for 2020, as I said, the shortened season was nice. It was, what players want in terms of match after match, and not maybe 4 months of, hard slog training where you're kind of wondering what you're doing it for. When you have all the matches so close, it's great. And I think it's the same again this year, which obviously is due to COVID, but there is some positives to it in terms of having that consistent week in and week out of matches.
Some players in the past while have said that the pandemic in the last year and working from home has made it easier to sort of juggle sport. What has it been like? What's it been like for you?
Yeah, definitely. I found it particularly in January and February there, where we were running by ourselves, and it was dark evenings. And if I had been in work, like you'd be leaving work 5:30, 6, and then you're going to, pitches were closed, you'd nowhere to go running in daylight. So I think that would have been a big struggle. Whereas when I was working from home, could go running at lunchtime or 2 or 3 o'clock and just make up the time and work after. So it was great in terms of that. So particularly, I thought January and February, I really did notice that and was kind of wondering how I would have got all that work done if I had been in work.
What were your thoughts on the penalty decision last weekend against Waterford? Obviously, it didn't make a difference in the end, but Aoife seemed to be pretty put out about it anyway.
Yeah, it was an interesting decision to say the least. I watched back the match Monday evening, and even the person commenting on it said, she's been fouled for a penalty, and like there was no question to see was it a penalty. And yeah, I did think it was probably one of the most stonewall penalties you could have got. And as you said, it didn't impact the result. We won, but it is still kind of disappointing to see decisions like that could have an impact on a game. And, we were hanging on in the end, so it could have. So it is frustrating. Now, on the other side, I was kind of wondering for my goal, was I going to get blown for being in the square? And maybe I would have if the penalty had been given. So you don't know, and you can't say that it's a definite we could have missed the penalty or anything, but it is frustrating to kind of see that it happened right in front of an umpire, and it wasn't given. So hopefully we won't see anything like that going forward.
And in general, without trying to be too negative, would you be happy overall with the standard of referee? And probably seems like it's not too bad.
And I think the two games in Páirc Uí Chaoimh I thought were good in the sense that there was a bit let play, and there was a bit more physicality, and I found it a bit frustrating at the weekend, the lack of contact that was allowed. And talking to the referee after, he was saying that that's obviously the direction that they're getting from Croke Park, but it's just that kind of inconsistency, because there's no way you could say that was the same level of contact that was there in the Dublin game the week previous. So from a player's point of view, just that element of inconsistency is a bit frustrating, that one week what's allowed and then you go out the next week and it's not allowed. So I personally would prefer a bit more contact and a bit more physicality, like we had in the previous two games. I think even from a neutral's point of view, the weekend was very stop-start and didn't make for good viewing. So you would like to be allowed the game to flow a bit more, and hopefully we will see that going into the semi-finals now this weekend.
And then, of course, the games were on TG Cahir. Obviously annoying to lose the Dublin one as well, but Joe, must be great to be having those games on TV.
Definitely. Yeah, it was unreal, and I've been playing with Cork. I think this is my 14th year, and that tip game was my first time playing in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, so it was great, and I really enjoyed it. It was unbelievable, the facilities, and we were very lucky with the weather both days. It was like summer football, so it kind of had a championship feel about it, which was brilliant. And I think it's great for ladies football to be playing in the main stadiums in different counties now, and it's great to see the progress, because obviously that hadn't happened a few years ago. So it was great, and it was something that it was kind of a big deal for me to be playing in Páirc Uí Chaoimh before I do retire, which won't probably be that long away. So it was nice to have that.
You had a cracking contest with the Dubs a couple of weeks ago. Do you feel like you're getting closer to the 4-in-a-row champions?
I hope so. Yeah, it's funny, after the match, everyone was saying, "Oh, like it was a great game, and you gave them a good run, and you went 5 up, and you went 8 down, and you fought back, and you'll have to take loads of learnings from that, etc." And it's only the league, and you listen to all of that, and you're still just absolutely sickened that you lost. Like it doesn't kind of make it any better. So I think that's good that we did feel so disappointed to lose, or to at least not get the draw. But I suppose what we were happy with was the fight back in terms of having gone 8 points down and coming back into it and being within a point, because in previous years maybe we wouldn't have had that kick, and we would have let them win comfortably, and that didn't happen, which was very positive. So in that sense, I would like to think we are getting a bit closer. They're no doubt the standard bearers, but I think what was good was the fight back and the kind of the winning some 50-50 balls and not being kind of physically dominated, which we would have been in previous years against them. So there definitely was a lot of positives to take from it. But yeah, as I said, if you could just get a little bit closer to them every match you play, would be good. But I know, like Dublin obviously has standard bearers, but there's a lot of other top teams out there too, and you wouldn't want to be looking just at Dublin, I think.
Is that the main thing that you took from the final, that you need to maybe up the game physically a little bit?
Yeah, and it's not even physically in terms of what we're doing, I think, in the gym or strength and conditioning wise. It's when it comes to the actual match, not being bullied, I think, pushed off the ball easily and stuff, because we don't let that happen against other teams. And I don't know why in recent years we kind of have stepped back a bit from Dublin and let them dictate the pace of the game. So I think that was a good learning from us coming out of the final last year and bringing it into the league game, to just to kind of assert our dominance on them as much, and not just wait for them to bring the game to us.
Dublin are chasing 5 in a row this year, coming on the back of you winning 6 in a row. Is there anything that you can kind of draw from that to try and stop them on this run?
I don't think it's a motivation in terms of thinking to stop their 5 in a row. It's a motivation for us to win the All-Ireland and win 1 in a row, I suppose. Like Dublin, I think that there would be a risk of focusing on Dublin too much. We can only focus on ourselves, and we're playing Donegal at the weekend, formidable team, Mayo, Galway, Armagh, so many teams that it would be wrong of any team other than Dublin to focus on Dublin. I think every team has to focus on themselves, and I suppose we'll all be going out to win the All-Ireland, and if that happened to stop Dublin winning 5 in a row, great, but that isn't the focus for our team, certainly anyway.
Ciara, it's been noticeable that none of the Cork players, current Cork players, obviously breached Cork had retired, but have gone out to the women's AFL. Is this something that you've had a particular conversation about, or how's it worked out?
To be honest, it's actually something that surprises me that there never is a collective discussion on it, and it hasn't been mentioned. But obviously, from a point of view of playing with Cork, it's great because it means we have our players all year round, and aren't waiting for people to come back from Australia. So it's good from that point of view. I know a few people have been offered trials and that, but for whatever reason, whether it's where people are at the point in time in terms of not being finished college or being in a kind of a job that they like, people haven't taken up that opportunity. And from a selfish point of view, I kind of hope that continues going forward.
Did you ever consider it yourself, or were there ever any approaches that were made to you?
I think maybe it was 2 years ago, just to go for trials in December, I think, but we had just played the Club All Ireland the week before, and to be honest, at that stage, I was happy enough to finish up for the year and had no great desire to go to Australia and play anyway. And even if I went for trials, I mightn't have made it anyway. But it's just not something that is for me. If I was to go travelling, I think I prefer to go travelling just to go travel and not to play AFL. So it won't be something that I'll be doing in the future anyway.
Soon enough, it'll be one or the other. You'll either go out there and stay out there, or you won't be able to mix the two.
I think so, yeah. I suppose obviously it worked well enough for players this year in terms of the fact that we started the league much later than we ordinarily would have. But I think, looking at the AFL extending their season and then normally us starting in January, February for league, I think it probably won't become practical going forward. But, it is great to see the Irish representation out there, and to see Orlo Dwyer winning this year was great. And I think the quality of players that have went out and done so well out there just shows the level of the high standard of ladies football. But I think it might look like in a few years' time that it is one or the other, and it's not practical to do both.
The ladies' game and the men's game are coming closer together, as we can see with this PwC award being presented to both now for the first time. Can you see a stage where it's no longer called ladies football in Camogie and just hurling and football?
Yeah, I think that would be good in the future. And I think there's so much done, so much work done in the media over the last number of years to promote women in sport. And hopefully what that means is that coming in a few years, it won't be women in sport, it'll just be sport, and it'll be spoken of equally. But I think that work that's going on at the moment is needed to get us to that point, and to make it a level playing field, so to speak. And I think stuff like this, like equality in terms of awards and all the rest of it, and expenses that has been implemented now as well, is brilliant, and it goes a long way to making it so that we'll be talking about Gaelic football, and it'll be the same for men and women, and hurling will be the same as camogie and all that. So I think that would be the end goal, but I think that the work that's going on at the moment, and I think we've a bit more to go to get us there, but that would be great.
Could you see ladies Gaelic games coming under the umbrella of the GAA anytime soon?
I think there seems to be an appetite among players anyway for that to happen, and I think from my own point of view the main reason for that is probably kind of twofold. Maybe a fixtures point of view, and also the clashes that we have seen with camogie as a dual county in Cork, and I see Tipperary I think are in a bit of bother this week again with the camogie semi-final and their relegation football clashing, which is very disappointing to see. So from that point of view, I think, if you look at a men's team, they know their fixtures and they know where a match will be played so far in advance, and that's great to see, and it just gives a bit of certainty. So if joining the GAA would give us that bit of certainty of knowing fixtures and knowing where matches are on, and that, I think that would be great. And it would mean, like we were playing in Páirc Uí Chaoimh there, it would mean playing in the better stadiums around the country, which would be great. And as I said, if we were under the same umbrella as the GAA and the camogie were as well, it would mean not having the clashes that the dual players have had so frequently in the last number of years.
You mentioned it was your first time playing at Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Did that come as a big surprise to a lot of people?
To be fair now, the girls did play there last year, but I wasn't back from injury for that match last year, so I would have had the chance last year. Yeah, I suppose like I've played in Parky Ring and I've been lucky enough to play in Crow Park a good few times. So it probably is a bit strange that you've played in Crow Park, you know, a good few times before you've played in Park Queeve. But I think great credit is due to Cork GAA for and the county board for extending, you know, that we can all play there, and it's great to see. And as I said, it was a kind of a big occasion for me to get to play there, and one that I do appreciate. So yeah, I don't know if other people would have been surprised by it or whatever, but for me, yeah, it was great.
Join the Our Game Supporters Club at Patreon for €5 per month to get audio podcasts of the Hurling and Football Show and much more exclusive material.